This is the Genesis GV60 compact luxury SUV, and it just might be the best electric car you can buy. This is Four Wheels and a Seat, a channel where you can see new cars reviewed every week. But to make sure you don't miss one, hit that subscribe button down below, and if you could give me a like as well, I'd really appreciate it. Several years after Genesis first appeared in the Australian market, a lot of people still don't know what it is. Is it a new Chinese brand? Is it an obscure European car maker? Well, it's actually neither of those. It's Hyundai's luxury brand. And they've been doing a great job making European-style cars at a far more affordable price without sacrificing any of the style, quality, or performance. The GV60 sits on the same platform as the Ioniq 5 and 6 and Kia's EV6, so there is a lot of commonality between them, but where the Ioniqs go for more quirky style and the EV6 is an out-and-out performance machine, the GV60 takes the best of both of those to make a luxury SUV with some of the best tech you'll find on any car. From the side, you can see this car's beautiful coupe shape. It really is a bit of a head turner on the road. And look, I know I seem to say this every week, but it's the alloys that steal the show. And these beautiful 21-inch wheels just fill these large arches so beautifully with such an attractive design. The door handles here sit flush with the metalwork on the body, and you can see how they very nicely pop out to allow you to easily open the door. But perhaps the most distinctive design element on the side of the GV60 are these. Now, normally here we would see rear vision mirrors, but this car doesn't have that. Instead, we have cameras, which are retractable, and they display their image on two screens on the inside of the car. Is it better than having a mirror? It's much of a muchness, to be honest. The back of the GV60 looks really good too. I like these rear light clusters that mimic the lights at the front. That's Genesis design language for you. We've got this mid-mounted rear spoiler here that does obstruct rear view just a little bit, and the big Genesis badge here across the back. Overall, I think the design has a little bit of Porsche about it. Under the tailgate, we don't have a huge boot. It's only 432 litres. You can knock down the rear seats to give you over 1,000 litres more space. The bonnet slopes down to a very low point here. It's sort of like a clamshell design, and we've got a big Genesis badge here that if you were to catch it in the corner of your eye just briefly, you could be forgiven for thinking it was an Aston Martin badge. It certainly seems to be inspired by it. And the light clusters here look great too. They're horizontal and they run parallel with each other with big lights in here that also do double duty as turn indicators. Under the bonnet of the GV60, we've got an additional storage space here called the front trunk. It gives you 20 litres of space. It's home to some more charging cables and the V2L connector, which plugs into the car's charge port and then allows you to plug in any 240 volt domestic device you'd like, and that will be powered by the car's battery. In terms of powertrain, we have two electric motors on this car, one on the front axle, one on the rear. Together, they output a maximum of 360 kilowatts of power and a bone-crushing 700 Newton meters of torque. You only get that level of power when you hit this car's boost button though, and it's just for 10 seconds. I'll give you a bit of a demonstration on that when we go for a drive shortly. In terms of charging time, well, it depends on how you do it. It can be as little as 18 minutes at a high-speed charger to get it to 80%, or you can get it to 100% at a standard 240 volt power outlet at home in about a day and a half. The rest of the charging times fall somewhere in between the two. This car also comes with 5 years of complimentary charging from ChargeFox, or you can have a charger installed at home in your garage. Up to you. The layout of the GV60 is somewhere in between the EV6 and the Ioniq 5. It's probably a little closer to the Hyundai than the Kia, but it does take luxury up to the next level. We've got Napa leather seats, we've got stitching up here on the dash, aluminium finish here on the side, and all up is extremely comfortable in here. It even has a crystal gear changer. There are no less than 6 screens pointed at the driver here in the GV60, which could potentially lead to a bit of information overload, but the center console screen here has some of the best infotainment software running on it you'll find in any car. At its heart, it's essentially very similar to the regular Hyundai Kia software. If you've used either of those before, you'll be at home here. But the front end here on the home screen has been redone with some very premium looking graphics that really do make it look quite special. And there's also an infinite amount of customization available in this car. You can adjust just about anything you care to think of. The navigation system, again, one of the best I've used. It really does give Apple and Google a run for its money. In fact, it even takes it to the next level because of the inclusion of augmented reality, allowing you to see the image from the front of the car, a camera on the front of the car, projected here on the center console screen, and it's overlaid with animated directional graphics, which look awesome, and it really does look like something out of a Sony PlayStation game. And that image can also be mirrored here on the driver's instrument cluster, so you can see it right in front of you as you're driving, and it really is the ultimate navigation aid. Even if it is a little bit distracting, it's still extremely cool. Unfortunately for all the cool tech, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto still require a USB cable to use them. And that's nothing to do with the technology not working well, it's got to do with a legal dispute that has yet to be settled. And the Bang & Olufsen sound system has no less than 17 speakers in 14 locations. It sounds awesome and uses a biosonic sound positioning feature to equalize the sound. Climate controls are operated via another screen here just underneath the main screen, and it's very simple and easy to use. We've got shortcuts for the center console screen there too. A big open area here because of the flat floor. There's a lot of room to store a handbag or a backpack or something like that. 2 more USBs all the way down here, not very conveniently positioned to be honest, but there is another little storage space there too. We've got the floating center console here. The top part of it is finished in a very nice textured aluminium. Feels very premium. Fans of jog wheels will be happy to know we still have a jog wheel here should you wish to operate the center screen with that rather than by touch. Some audio system controls here. You might notice this crystal ball here. Now this isn't unfortunately anything mystical. It is, however, an extremely cool feature which allows the gear shifter to magically appear when you turn the power on. And it's like something out of a Roger Moore James Bond film from the 1980s. This is your gear shifter, of course. You can change the interior color in here as well. There are quite a few preset colors to choose from in the center screen. Cup holders there. We've got a row of buttons here for the seat heating and ventilation controls. Wireless phone charging down here in a little slot in the middle, and a very small center console bin, but it does have a nice Napa leather finish with stitching on top. The head-up display in front of the driver is fantastic. Again, you can customize the information that you see on there. The digital instrument cluster has a few different display modes that are linked to whatever drive mode you're in, but to be honest, they all look pretty much the same. They change in color, and that's really about it. My favorite display mode, though, is again that augmented reality mode that we looked at before on the center screen. You can mirror that here on the instrument cluster, and it's great to have that right in front of you. It's linked to a camera at the front of the car, and big animated arrows pop up on the screen and show you which way to go. It's a fantastic feature. I really like it. The steering wheel, I don't really like this. It's a little bit gaudy for me. I like something a bit more sporty perhaps, but I mean, in terms of functionality, it's really good. It works the same as pretty much every other Hyundai Kia steering wheel you'll come across, but they have replaced one of the controls here with a touch-sensitive directional arrow button thingy here, which feels pretty good. 2 things that are very different though are the drive mode button here on the steering wheel and the all-important boost button, which when you hit this, and if you're in sport mode, that unlocks the full power of this car's battery, getting you that full 360 kilowatts and 700 newton meters of power, but you only get it for 10 seconds. It's just like a video game, but in real life. The seats are Nappa leather, they are quilted and ventilated, are extremely comfortable. The driver gets a massage function and the seats hug you in really nicely. Visibility out the front is pretty good, although that scallop-shaped bonnet does mean that you can't quite see the front of the car, but there are sensors and cameras everywhere, so you don't have to worry about that. You're not going to hit anything. Visibility through the rear vision mirror with that spoiler sort of halfway down the rear window there is a little bit obstructed, but again, you've got cameras and sensors, so you don't really have to worry about not knowing where you're going. Backseat passengers, unfortunately, are, well, second-class passengers in the GV60 because there isn't a hell of a lot of room back here. It's a little bit tight. Behind my own seating position, I'm 190 centimetres tall. Knees touching the seat in front with a plastic shell there, so it's not terribly comfortable, and also not a lot of headroom either, with my head sort of bashing the roof liner there. But having said that though, these outboard seats anyway are heated, and we've got a cup holder here and some more Bang & Olufsen speakers, so it sounds pretty good. And we've got armrest with cup holders, a couple of USB-C ports, but there is no extra zone of climate control back here. We've got air vents here on the B pillar. So all up, I think I'd rather be a passenger in the front rather than the back. There is no shortage of power in the GV60. It is ridiculously quick. But it's funny how this car, which competes maybe a little indirectly with the Tesla Model Y, has a completely different take on what a cockpit can be for an EV, because where that one just has one big screen in the middle, we've got 6 screens here. But I really like this cockpit. I actually think I prefer it over the Tesla's simplicity. This just feels a lot more intuitive, and there are still quite a few physical buttons and dials as well. It's not all reliant on one screen to do everything. So with the augmented reality screen on, even if you don't have the nav on, you're still getting a very video game-like presentation here in front of the driver. It sort of creates this effect where it really looks like you're driving very fast on the screen, which you're not. You can see that you're kind of, you know, doing what you're supposed to be doing, but it looks really quick. There are a few different sound effects that you can have to create fake electric motor noise here in the cabin, just so you have some sort of sense of movement, I guess, because when you have it switched off altogether, it is actually very, very quiet in here. They call it active sound design, and there are a few different modes to choose from, including electric motor, G-engine, and futuristic. G-engine I really don't like at all. It kind of puts on like a fake N-car engine noise, and it just kind of drones away. It's not very good. Futuristic sounds pretty cool though. I do like that. And electric motor, it's just again this high-pitched kind of noise. You can actually go through into the settings and customize just how sensitive these sounds are, depending on how hard you're accelerating at the time. The local suspension tune that Hyundai give all of the Genesis cars and all the regular Hyundai cars really does make a difference to the way this car travels over bumpy roads, and it just glides along here. And this is a particularly rough spot of freeway we're on at the moment. There's a lot of corrugations on it, and can't feel them. It is really, really smooth. But the other thing that cars like this are great for as just pure showpieces is to actually convert people who don't believe in electric cars over to the electric side, because aside from that engine noise that you get in like a V8 or something like that, you've got the rest of the experience right here. It does it all, and it does it better in many circumstances because the speed of the acceleration is just uncomparable. All right, 0 to 100 in the Genesis GV60 all-wheel drive performance is 4 seconds. It's a wet day today, so I might just take it a little bit easier, but I'm going to put boost mode on and see how we go. Oh. Wow. Oh my God, that was insane. And the car just wants to keep going. It doesn't want to stop. That bit of extra boost really does make a big difference. It just kicks you in the guts and throws your head back against the seat. So this car certainly has been getting its fair bit of attention in the week that I've had it. It's turned a lot of heads, and I can't say I have actually seen any other Genesis GV60s on the road. And there does seem to be just a lot more electric cars in general out on the road at the moment. I mean, I've been driving in a row of electric cars just recently with a Tesla in front of me and a Polestar behind, and there just seems to be, we're getting to that point where people are really going over to electric where they can. And when you've got cars that drive like this, I mean, what's the excuse not to? Safety gear, well, as you'd expect from a car at this price point, it pretty much has it all. In fact, the car can almost drive by itself. But why would you want to do that when it's so much fun to drive it yourself? Would I pick one of these over a Tesla Model Y dual motor? Yes, I would. Look, it's not quite as fast as a Tesla. There's about half a second in it on the 0 to 100 dash, but this interior is far more luxurious, and there is a lot more information and physical dials and buttons. It feels a lot closer to driving a normal car, and therefore makes it, I think, a little bit easier to live with as a daily driver. What don't I like about this car? I'm not mad about the white interior, but you don't have to get that. You can get a darker interior. There's nothing on any of these screens that shows what the outside temperature is. Maybe that's an option that's not turned on, but I think that's something I don't like. At just over 120 grand, the Genesis GV60 is far from the cheapest EV you can buy, but it does give us a glimpse into what the future of luxury performance EVs could look like. And for me, I'm pretty damn excited about that.